According to today's Daily Mail, how many years longer do Southerners live than Northerners? The answer is 4 years.
Thanks very much. Welcome back to Monday's show. We've got Nitin Ganatra here, Angelica Bell, and special guest Hoosiers star Irwin Sparkes. And you can buy their brand new album, The Illusion of Safety, from our website. You can buy it right now. 5.tv/rightstuff is the place to go. And while you're there, why not join our book club? Room by Emma Donoghue is the next novel up for discussion. I'm going to be starting it later on today. Now, yeah, there we go. Yeah. I've just been reading The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and that trilogy. Okay. Fantastic. Now, coming up shortly, is it a shocking waste of public money for councils to pay for disabled people to consort with prostitutes? 0207 173 5555 is the number for your thoughts. Hey, if it puts a smile on their faces, why not? But first, we're going to get the rest of today's headlines from you, Owen. What have you got for us?
OK, well, I've got, in the Telegraph here, we've got a pledge to abolish mixed-sex wards by the year's end, which is trying to make good on a 15-year-old promise by Blair.
This has been going on for years.
Yeah, just a little bit. Every so often, I guess that shows the kind of lack of news. They sort of drag that one up again.
OK, I suppose there's a cost implication.
There is, yeah. A lot of people put it down to being quite aspirational, I guess, to the idea of having sort of single-sex wards, I guess.
Would they be fined, though? Or won't the hospitals be fined if they don't implement it by the end of the year or something, though, as well?
I'd just rather they were clean. That would be my first priority.
I was going to say, you do feel like there's bigger fish to fry.
Yes.
You know?
Maybe not, but that's what would bother me most, is hygiene first. And quite frankly, I'd rather be in a room filled with sick women than in a room filled with sick men. That's just me personally. But I guess it means I'm not gay. What else have we got then?
Yeah, we're coming hot on the heels. Moving on, we've got The Times with the inquest into David Kelly's death, which has proved inconclusive.
Sorry, the inquest into David Kelly's murder, you mean?
Nice.
Wow.
See what you did. But yeah, apparently there's still questions being raised about the quantity of blood coming from the wounds, which has proved too little, apparently. That would be sufficient sort of blood if it was a...
the wrong veins. That's right, it's the wrong artery, the ulnary.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in these things, but it was, at the time, there were all these sort of suspicions and rumours, and you think this is just conspiracy theories gone mad, and now we've got all these doctors saying, you know, there really is something to look at. And Michael Howard, a former Tory leader, says he's going to sort of spearhead an all-party committee. I think it's fascinating. Fascinating.
It's fascinating, but I mean, anything inconclusive, there's going to be so much debate and everyone's going to cling hold of the mystery.
But so many people, you know, got neighbours and close friends, all of them said that even if he was to commit suicide, and none of them think he would have done, that he would never have done it in a place where members of the public might come across him as he was in a wood, because he was too much of a considerate fellow, too respectful. And we shall see. We shall see. Got to be careful in case... I don't want to wake up dead by a tree, so I'm going to be very careful about what I say. Anything else?
There's the new north-south divide that the Mail picks up here.
It's the same as the old north-south divide, yeah?
Pretty much, but it's creeping down now. There's no Midlands. They've gone. So if you're in Birmingham, you are officially northern. It's a fact now. That's what the Mail's telling you, anyway.
You see, I'm from the Midlands. I never knew. I never knew what to say.
What with you?
So now I'm northern.
Apparently.
OK, it's nice to know that now.
And also, you've just lost 4 years of your life.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And you've got to be paid less.
Oh, right.
Yeah. It's part of the deal.
But Alan Milburn, he's going to sort all this out in his new role. So there we go. Thank God for Alan. Nicely done. One more from you, then, please.
OK. Let's see. Also in the Times, we've got a rather revolutionary idea of keeping people's driving speeds down. Sort of looks like something from Stanley Kubrick still. I think where you've got all the perspective of the trees getting closer gradually to the roadside, but certainly beats speed bumps in my view.
So this is what, planting trees on both sides of the road, evenly spaced.
Absolutely. Only really works for the straight roads as well, doesn't it? So.
I guess so, because they have it a lot in France, and I've noticed you drive through, and it says in France it works really well. But I thought it only as a way of slowing motorists down, but only because I kept thinking maybe there's a policeman hiding behind that tree, behind that tree, behind that tree, behind that tree, behind that tree. And that worked. And then after a while, you just think, to hell with it, it's too slow, let's go. and the roads were and like I said, the roads were straight, I can't quite work out how it's going to...
Well, it's either that or it's going to induce sort of panic attacks because it'll look like the road just comes to just a point or something. Yeah. Or it's just getting claustrophobic, like the whole world's closing in on you the more you're driving down that straight road. But we'll see.
We'll see. And, yes, Mark Bolan, he didn't do very well with trees by the side of the road, did he? No. OK.
Probably because he was too busy looking at the trees at the time.
That's what I mean, though. But if that's what they're saying is the safety aspect. But then, you know, you think, well, if there is an accident, you've got a whole lot of things you're going to hit along the way, which... Angelica.
OK, my first story is from the Mail, page 10. The headline is, now they're cloning cows from cattle that are dead. This story's basically come from the fact that cattle destined for the food chain in the US are being cloned. And what technicians do, they take samples from dead animals to check the quality of the meat and take their cells so that, you know, if there's a big cow who's producing a lot of meat, maybe they could reproduce that as well. But the reason why it's come... you know, in the light over here is because the development it's emerged that 3 animals descended from cloned cows have found their way into the food chain in Britain. Now, I think the point of this story is whether cloning is ethical, whether it's the right thing to do, and whether also animal suffering as well, and whether the effects will have any repercussions.
There's another aspect about it as well, which is survey after survey says the British people don't want it.
So,
if they don't
maybe
want
in America they're not fussed
Yeah.
because, you know, it's growing business there, and they're saying that we should be thinking about taking this on board over here, and that it will eventually come on board here anyway. I'm not sure what I think, because, again, there's no evidence to say what, you know, the meat will be like, you know, quality of the food, whether it will have implications on our health,
Well, do we need it?
Well, this is what I was thinking. Aren't there enough cows?
That's the bit I wonder. Do we need it?
I think it's a long-term thing. I don't think people... I think the folly... often the folly with science and messing around with genetics is often, you don't find out until 50 years down the line.
What the real true repercussions are. Yeah. OK.
OK, first, that was that one. In the next story I've got is in The Sun, page 9, shameless start on teen murder bid. Shameless start... Yeah, Elliot Tissasaw, under arrest for suspected attempted murder.
He played Carl, didn't he?
Carl Gallagher. Yeah. He basically ran over a guy in his BMW. Allegedly. And left him, so it was a hit and run. Probably panicked. Came back and then gave himself up, allegedly, at the police station. He was arrested, but he's out now. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. If there's any charges, that will be down in the future.
Wow, gosh.
It's you know, quite amazing. I think, what is it? Somebody, he was in someone with his girlfriend. This guy was trying to talk to him, and I don't think he wanted to talk to the guy. The guy stood in front of the car, and then he just... Allegedly ran him over.
To be honest, when you said teen murder bid, I thought this was going to be like a really dark eBay story.
No.
You can get anything.
Totally different.
I'm glad, in a way. It's bad. I mean, that's a horrible story, but I'm kind of glad because mine was worse.
Yeah. You come from a different place. Dark. OK, next story, page 19 of the Daily Mail. TV bird woman who splash landed at sea. It's sad, but it's all worked out well. Children's TV presenter or ex-former Holly Walsh ended in disaster yesterday. She was at the annual International Worthing Birdman contest, raising money for charity.
That's where the nutters jump off the pier. Yeah.
Nutters, completely. She was raising money for the Rainbow Children's Hospice, jumped in. Clearly something was wrong, but, you know, they thought maybe she'd hurt her spine.
Let me guess. The helicopter didn't fly.
Yeah.
Yes, it crashed.
Wouldn't it be a surprise if someone actually went up and did fly?
Yeah, it would be amazing.
I made it across the channel or something.
It would be incredible. Yeah. Really incredible. She's only broken her arm. They thought she'd hurt her spine, but it's fine now.
OK, wow, gosh, this is a harbinger of doom you are today.
I know.
Anything
It's all said with a smile on my face. Next one is Daily Telegraph, page 9. Smoker faces £2.5 fine for dropping ash on the pavement. Yeah, this is a bit of a ridiculous story. A widow, she's been threatened with £2.5 worth of fines for dropping cigarette ash on the pavement. Sheila Martin, 70, was smoking at a bus stop, having a fag, and then one of the wardens came up to her and said, you're causing litter.
So getting this right, it's not the
butt,
it's the ash.
So she was given a £75 fixed penalty fine on the spot for that, but she's refusing to pay for it. Because she's refusing to pay for it, it could go to a maximum fine of £2.5. But this is what council? It's Sandwell Council, and they're known for being quite hard-hitting on litter and, you know, fining people for not, you know, carrying out the law. But, you know, this is a bit of a ridiculous story. A widow, she's been threatened with £2.5 worth of fine for dropping cigarette ash on the pavement. She La Martin, 70, was smoking at a bus stop, having a fag, and then one of the wardens came up to her and said, you're causing litter. So she was given a £75 fixed penalty fine on the spot for that, but she's refusing to pay for it. Because this is what council? It's Sandwell Council, and they're known for being quite hard-hitting on litter and, you know, fining people for not, you know, carrying out the law. But But I get...
yeah. Ash, I struggle with.
I struggle with.
It's like, imagine, you know, you've just sort of cremated a loved one or something like that, and you get banged with a fine or something like that. And
Or
spreading their ashes.
dandruff falling out of your hair.
Yeah. Whopped with a fine.
Sandland is head and shoulders above all other councils.
Yes. Those are my stories.
Nitin, what have you got?
Right, I'll be very, very brief. In the Daily Express, we've got this ongoing outrage. It's not even a fresh outrage. It says there was, regarding the Lockerbie bomber, there was growing outrage and anger last night as Libya prepared to celebrate the first anniversary of the Lockerbie bomber's release. So Megrahi went back to Libya because everybody assumed that he was going to die, but he's actually lived longer than anyone expected, and there's some celebrations going on.
And one of the stories I've been reading about this is that the doctor that examined him in prison, he at no point had suggested that he had chemotherapy, and as soon as he arrived in Libya, he was given chemotherapy and is now running around like a spring chicken.
That's right. It says here, the cancer expert said that Dr. Andrew Fraser's report did not take into account the possibility of future treatment prolonging his life.
But the most important thing is we get cheap oil.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that has nothing to do with this story, does it? Yes.
I'll move on quickly. Daily Mirror, we've got a great title here, Made in England. Capello is probably on his way out, but and Adrian
Such
Bevington...
a shame, he's done such a great job.
Yeah, well, Adrian Bevington says we want...
All the viewers in Scotland going, hey, you're 80, you're 80 there.
Well, it looks like the future of England management is going to be English. There's a call for homegrown management.
I don't think the manager's the problem, is it? It's the players.
Well, we'll get on to that one
We
soon.
will.
So, yes, we may be looking for an English manager, but if it's a communication problem, it's an English manager that can speak English as well. So, and there's a very sad story here by the novelist Louis de Bernier, who got divorced and he wrote Captain Corelli's Mandolin, obviously. Yeah. He's called for equal child custody rights for men and women after disclosing that an access battle with his former girlfriend left him feeling suicidal. I'll very quickly read to you what he said. It's beautifully put. It was really dreadful. The worst thing, practically, was finding the house so quiet because it was always so full of laughter, rampaging and stampeding. There was always a lot of noise and fun, and it suddenly went quiet. He's dealing with only being allowed to see his kids once or twice a week.
OK. Daily
Mail, Dave's doppelgangers. There's a lot of money in lookalikes, and there's quite a few people walking around claiming to look like David Cameron.
I was going to say, it could be just about David anybody. David Smith, David Jones, doesn't look anything like David Cameron.
I struggle to find who they look like. I was even trying to cross-reference and say, maybe they look like someone else, but they don't.
No.
They don't look like anyone.
No. Unbelievable. £500 a
Even I could go up there and say I look like David Cameron.
In fact, you look a lot more like him than they do.
500 quid a night.
Yeah. Sharp-elbowed middle classes. Now, after the ads, we're going to hear what you think about, it's just an unbelievable story, about your money being used to pay for sex holidays for elderly or disabled fellas. Social workers claim they're simply meeting the needs of their clients. I bet they are, but what do you think? Is this a sensible use of taxpayers' cash? 0207 173 5555 is the number to dial. It'd be great to hear from everyone, disabled or not, on this, and we will after the ads.
How much does a visit to a prostitute cost in Amsterdam? 40, 60 or £80? Find out after the break.